Let's go back to something that I found to be very interesting when I was looking into your
Mhm.
backstory. So you went to Mount Carmel. You are
Yep.
your high school's all-time leading scorer. You have more than 2,000 points. You were the 1994 Times Player of the Year. You were a first-team selection, and yet somehow, some way, when it came to Illinois Mr. Basketball voting,
Hmm.
Jerry G beat you out with 92 first place votes. You got 84. 658 points. You got 614. Take me back to high school Twan. When that happened, what was your reaction? Because you did so much that year and you still came second.
I mean, I was disappointed because obviously, if you come from Chicago, that's an award that you obviously can stick with you forever and something that you can always remember. So I was disappointed, and actually, I won my senior year. I won the head-to-head battle um, with Jerry G. As far as our team is won, and we both played well stat-wise, but I won that battle. I think for me, the reason why I didn't get it, I wasn't. I was kind of a hothead a little bit in high school. And what I mean by that, I was a kid that talked trash a little bit. I wasn't always necessarily politically correct, to say the least, when I was in high school. So I think that hurt me to some of the voters, maybe because of my attitude a little bit. But I think that's really what was it. Because technically, we both were in the Catholic League, even though he was Class A, I was Double A, but we both were playing the same competition. So it was not like one of us had an advantage
Mm-hmm.
uh, over each other. So it was just one of those things. I think it came down to just a couple, writers. Some writers like you, some of them didn't. But I also could take responsibility too. I was a hothead back then too.
Right.
Uh, I think that hurt me a little bit as far as in the voters' eyes.
Right. But I'm just curious, like when I think of this, all I have to do is go back to some Hall of Fame voters when it comes to Major League Baseball.
Hmm.
Because it's like Ichiro Suzuki is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Everybody
Right.
should vote for him. I'm pretty sure there was another big name, maybe Jeter, did not get 100% of the vote. That's an obvious one. Okay. So when I look back on this, and I think Ken Griffey, I think he was 100%, but there have been other times where it's like, this guy is obviously a Hall of Famer. What did he do to you? Considering that you are in the unique position to
Well,
answer that question, is it
but
because you gave like one bad quote to a media member? Like, I don't think sports
I,
fans know this stuff.
yeah, I think it could be that, or it could be sometimes it's the way you handle yourself, the way you carry yourself. Um, if you're not media friendly, I think about when you just start rambling off names. I think about T.O.
Yeah.
The Terrell Owens situation was like kind of crazy at first, seeming like he wasn't going to get in for a minute. Um, but I just think sometimes, and it's nothing wrong with that. Some people take the voters. That's why I'm a big advocate for players voting each other in because the respect factor and players know who's the Hall of Famers. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Get writers and people that want to write, and sometimes if you have it out with them, they can hold that against you and not vote for you and those type of things. So it does plays a part. I mean, some guys, and I'm pretty sure you saw some guys like, maybe he should. How's he in the Hall of Fame and this guy's not?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll just throw a name out to you like Mark Aguirre. I wonder how he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That's just the name that just randomly just brought up in my head. But think about that. Like, well, how is he not in that? I wonder what was the writers thinking? What did he do wrong? Who did he rub the wrong way? So I'm interested. I mean, I would love to find that out.
Do the
So
refs? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just think it's just one of those things. Sometimes the writers, if they don't like you, you're not getting that vote. I'm not sure, how many writers it takes for them not to like you, but sometimes that happens.
Do you think a writer could have seen one of your games in high school where a referee made an incorrect call on you and authentically you not necessarily flip out, but you react strongly because you feel as though there's an injustice, then they write about your reaction in the paper and hold it against you?
Oh, without question. I believe that could have happened a couple times.
What
Uh,
happened?
I I I, I play the game with a lot of emotion. I'm into the game, and that even carried on me through. I mean, so I got to the pros where I would get my fair share of technical fouls. So I'm engaged, and I'm a competitor, and I'm involved in the game. So I think that can happen in certain cases where if you don't kind of tote the line the right way to certain people, they hold that stuff against you. And it's unfortunate sometimes because sometimes the numbers speak for themselves and the talent speaks for itself. So you like, how's this guy not in, and how's this guy not getting this award or that award? Sometimes it's just that they just don't like your personality.
When you say you played the game with emotion, I mean, yes, it's stating facts that you played the game with emotion, but how does emotion help you play better?
Um, I think that's when the competitive part come in at. I think the emotion part is all about being competitive. If you're competitive and you care about winning, um, all those things line up. Um, I'm a competitor. I like to win. I've been very fortunate in my career to win one at the collegiate level and at the pro level. It's a very unique group of guys that have done that. Um, and I've just always wanted to win. And I've been very lucky in my career to also be a part of just winning situations. Um, and that's something that every player doesn't get an opportunity to do. You see guys seek out in their career. You look at a Carmelo Anthony, a Tracy McGrady, some of these great guys that have played that have never played in the NBA Finals,
Mm-hmm.
that have played there. So it happens sometimes. So you can't take that for granted. So I always try to consider myself a competitor and a guy that wants to win and also play the part in winning.
Let's go back to high school. There was a former teammate of yours that turned out to be pretty good. When I say the name Donovan McNabb, your high school teammate, what comes to mind?
Talented, super athletic, um, loves to win, um, and a competitor. Just, I mean, I can't overstate how much a competitor he is. Um, it was a joy to watch him quarterback in high school. I was there to be able to go 4 years with Donovan and see him progress from a freshman to a senior as a quarterback, but also as a basketball player. Second leading scorer on our team, um, was my Robin. Really helped me out a lot tremendously. One of the best two-sport guy that I've seen play. I thought he could have continued to do it in college. Obviously, he was on the team, the basketball team, but I mean, this guy ended up being a top five pick at quarterback. But I thought he was a guy that could have played both sports. He was that athletic and that talented.
Would he admit to being your Robin?
In high school, yeah, of course.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure. How good of a basketball player was he, though? Seriously.
um, Definitely Division 1. I would probably say mid-level, mid-major.
Like a Wichita State.
No,
Wichita is actually major. That's a bad call.
well, I would just say mid-major. I would say he was a mid-major basketball player and obviously a major Division 1 football player. I think he was competitive enough. If he had to go play major Division 1 basketball, he would have. He
Hmm.
could have.
Sure. This actually brings up an interesting point because there are some football players who, I'm sorry, there are basketball players who transition to playing football, like a Jimmy Graham.
Mhm.
Why do you think it is easier, aside from the number of players on a team, why do you think it's easier for guys like Peppers, Jimmy Graham, Donovan McNabb to make that sort of transition and pursue football more so than basketball?
Um, I think it's really just your athletic ability is what kind of separates it and where your skill set is at. Donovan, you look at it, I mean, in high school, and I'm just judging off of high school, he was an option quarterback by senior year. Now he's throwing bombs.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So he developed from a running quarterback with that athletic ability to, actually having a real strong throwing arm. Um, I think if you even look at Peppers in college, he was athletic and obviously rebound, but does that game translate to a long-term career on a basketball court? Possibly not. So you tend to go to the sport that actually fits your skill set the best.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't, obviously, none of those guys that you named made a bad decision because they turned out to be Hall of Famers in their sport. So those guys made the right decision. But there's nothing wrong. I mean, I even think back to myself, and I'm not putting myself at that level. I mean, I love baseball. You couldn't tell me that I wasn't going to be a baseball player. But hey, you grow to be 6'9", your strike zone get a little big.
Right.
You know what I mean? It becomes kind of hard to play baseball at 6'9". So it's just one of those things. So, but it was my first love. That I loved it. I could compete. I thought I could play against the best. But, my skill set was better suited for basketball than baseball.
Right. Is it true Simeon Rice was 2 years ahead of you in high school as well?
Yes, he was 2 years.
Oh my God, you guys were stacked.
Yeah, we had I mean, they're still very good to this day. I mean, they won state this year. But they do a terrific job with the football program over at Mount Carmel and get developing these guys and creating good college athletes to pros. They do a great job.